November 30th, ladies and gentlemen, with our
You
next
must
interview.
remember this. A kiss is but a kiss.
The one and only Jason Solis. Good morning, Jason.
And good morning, Chris, and good morning, Guam. We are pleased to be joined in the KUM News Zoom room this morning by Her Honor herself, the Chief Judge of the U.S. District Court of Guam, the very Honorable Frances Tydingco-Gatewood, because there is a family violence throughout Micronesia effort to decrease family violence throughout the region. So, Your Honor, good morning. Always good to see you, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh, no problem at all.
All right. Landline.
Oh, okay. So, of course, this is the Pacific Judicial Council, and they've partnered with executive and legislative branches of government throughout the region because this is a known problem. Good morning, Your Honor, once again, and Merry Christmas.
Oh, well, happy Thanksgiving, belated, and Merry Christmas, future.
How was your Thanksgiving? Because I know you are somewhat. I mean, you're a woman of obviously many talents, but you can really cook too. So how was your Thanksgiving?
Good. I usually don't eat red meat or anything like that, but I make all the red meat stuff for my husband and my kids. So I made a leg of ham.
Oh, very nice.
That's good.
Okay, where do you stand with ham? Like with the cherry and the pineapple on top? Do you go traditional that way or?
I do pineapple, but I don't put it on top. I just use crushed pineapple in the marinade. It tastes better that way.
Very nice. Okay, well,
yeah, I'll give you my recipe. I think you'll love it.
Oh yes, please. I would absolutely love that. But one thing that's equally as important, and one thing that certainly a lot of people are going to get behind, is this initiative by the Pacific Judicial Council, where you've got chief judges, not unlike yourself, as well as justices from the various Supreme Courts, and they're coming together to address the current state of family violence throughout the region, because that's a known problem, but you're coming up with solutions to try and really curtail this very disturbing problem.
Right. So what it is the Pacific Judicial Council, and through myself and my co-chair, Chief Justice Cyprian Manoa we are co-chairing this community outreach. This is very ambitious. It's a very ambitious program, and we are excited because we're not just addressing it. We're actually trying to minimize family violence. And so what we're doing is, for the first time in the history of the Pacific Judicial Council, as far as I know, in all the years I've been a member, first of all, the council consists of the judicial officers from Chuuk, Kosrae, Pohnpei, Yap, Guam, the CNMI, American Samoa, Republic of Palau. And so we've asked all the chief judges or the chief officers, judicial officers, to take the lead and partner with the governor and the speaker of each of their congressional branches. So it's a tri-branch approach. But so for example, Chief Justice Carmelito, and I hope you interview him, he can tell you how they formed the Guam Team Guam. So every island has a team. So it may be comprised of somebody from the Department of Education. Because what we're doing, Jason, is every island will have one elementary school, one middle school, and one high school. This is our pilot program. And what we've done is we've developed a curriculum with our international speaker, and you have the information about him, Dr. Nedley, who's flying in today. And he has developed a curriculum with our council, with our planning committee, and he's also been in Micronesia. So the curriculum is going to be taught in the schools. So those are three different levels of school on each island. Just one elementary, one middle, one high school. Mm-hmm. And so the team will consist of some, a teacher or some teachers, somebody from mental health, because family violence. This whole conference, and you saw the press release. It's family violence. Emotional quotient education program aiming to decrease family violence through Micronesia. Mm-hmm. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, there's going to be a train the trainer program, and because of the pandemic crisis, only some of the islands can actually be on Guam in person with Dr. Nedley. The other islands where it's closed, the borders are closed, such as Chuuk, Kosrae, Pohnpei, and Yap. And what they're going to do is they're going to zoom in virtually into my courtroom. So my courtroom will be the hub, and on the fourth floor at the district court. And so Dr. Nedley will be presenting there and his team. And so each island has their team led by the chief officers, judicial officers. So you want me to keep going on? You want to?
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So just as an FYI, this week is phase 1, December 1 through December 2nd, December 3rd, where it's going to be like from 8 to 4 o'clock, 8 to 5 each day. And they're going to have like a lunch break and so forth. So we're actually kind of emulating it, even though like if you're the Chief Justice of CHU and you have your 5-6 member team for the schooling, you're going to take the same breaks that we take here on Guam when we're doing it in person. And then the Pacific Judicial Council is going to provide snacks for those persons. When we take a lunch break here on Guam in person, they'll take a lunch break virtually. I mean, over there, wherever they are.
We all break bread together, all as one family.
Yeah. I mean, they'll just get their lunches. We've already arranged all that. We've worked closely with the chief justices of each island.
Oh, very nice.
So this is phase 1. Phase 2 will be, so between phase 1, December 1 through 3, up till January, when they begin the actual teaching. The third quarter, that's when the teachers will go into the courtroom and teach the curriculum. And so they'll teach it for the third quarter, and then that'll be done in like May, and then July will be phase 3, and that'll be in person. So all the islands will hopefully come back to Guam, or come to Guam, assuming COVID crisis is abated, and we will have a report. Yeah, I know. We're hoping that. But yeah, exactly. So it's really exciting. We are, and it's not just Jason. It's not just the school. I mean, we also are going to have a component for community, not-for-profit organizations that support family violence issues, like for victims and survivors, and even for defendants. I mean, because family violence, it's just not. The focus for this is not just for the victim; it's also for the children.
Sure.
I'm sorry, not for just the victims, but it's also for the defendants, the perpetrators. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're focusing on, a whole approach that if you get it into the school system and you teach the children about this with this curriculum, it should really stem the tide of any increase in family violence.
Yeah, Your Honor, how I appreciate that you brought up the fact that it's not just for the victims but also for the perpetrators, for the defendants and everything. Exactly in what scope and in what context would this what resources would be provided for the defendants? Is this if they have anger management issues, would it be counseling and?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think that inspired us is, I mean, let me just back up. Mm-hmm. Because a 6-year-old child, an elementary student, a middle school student, high school student, can emulate their father or their grandfather, right, or their mom's boyfriend. And so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about deep into that level, starting at that level. If you could stop family violence at that level, then hopefully those people will not become defendants, will not become perpetrators. They won't be in the criminal justice system. So what we're trying to do is, teach responsibility, teach respectability, teach civility, teach managing your emotions, managing your anger management. That's what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. At that level. And it's just, like I said, it's a pilot program. And I think what's critical for us, for myself and Chief Justice Manwar and all the Chief Justices of the Pacific Judicial Council, of course, including Chief Justice Carbolito, and I point him out in particular because he's our Team Guam leader. We have been inspired by the Secretary of Education, the current Secretary of Education, and his name is Dr. Miguel Cardona, and the United States Surgeon General, the current one, Dr. Vivek Murthy. And one of the things that, if you listen to some of their interviews, they talk about, they're leaders in government, and they want to respond to the challenges that are facing our children and youth, the mental health challenges that are facing our children and youth when it comes to, whether it's the COVID crisis, whether it's the family violence issues. I mean, there's a crisis going on in our school system, and the school system, and we agree with them, is a very powerful place to try to instill some type of healing process for our children who are in need. And so they've recognized there's a huge strain on the emotional and physical and mental health well-being of these children.
Absolutely.
So I think, right. So one of the things that we are, and I think, Justice Carbolito, I haven't had a chance to speak to him this week because he's in appellate session, but I hope you speak to him soon. He did tell me that he's, obviously working closely with the governor, lieutenant governor, I think mental health, and he'll get into all that, and with the speaker, I think, as well, for a good team, because what I think is important for us at the Pacific Judicial Council, for myself as a board member, and Chief Justice Cyprian as also, we're both co-board members and co-chairs of this ambitious program, is we feel it's our responsibility to be visionary leaders in this in this situation that faces our Micronesian islands. Mm-hmm. And I think what's going to be very critical is that the curriculum, Jason, is very relatable to the Micronesian islanders. It's not like something that you're going to get from the East Coast of the United States of America. It's going to be,
and they try and force fit it into our culture and the particularities of like the way our island way of life. And this is something kind of custom designed for who we are as a people and our idiosyncrasies.
Exactly, you're absolutely right, and you'll see and we'll show that to you at some point, Jason. Is that the curriculum has sketches of children who look Micronesian, who look like they're from Guam, who look like they're from Chuuk and Kosrae and Yap and so forth.
So there is that empathy that really allows the curriculum on paper to really make that emotional and academic connection with the families, with the kids, with the wives, and with the husbands for that matter.
Exactly. So we're excited about this. I mean, we have the Ninth Circuit, so our education specialist, our Ninth Circuit education specialist, Russ Matheson, flew in yesterday. So he's here on Guam, so he's helping coordinate this big program. He has a platform. He's focusing on, we have a website, I'll make sure we get that to you, for the Pacific Judicial Council website as it relates to this program.
Oh, yes,
and
please.
He has his team here to make sure that the virtual platform, we're hoping that it is successful in all the islands, because we wish that they could all be here in person, but that's just not going to happen.
And I just thought about something. A thought just occurred to me, Your Honor, because if you look at the chronology of what we've all been through as a community during the pandemic, is I know that when the word quarantine and lockdown really started hitting around maybe like last May or so, the number one concern, at least or one of them from people in your line of work and from law enforcers, were saying, from the police department, were saying, we're really concerned about family violence taking an uptick, because now you've got people who may have tension in the family or anger management issues, and now they're all locked up together, and the only outlet is going to be these unspeakable acts.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, yes, I saw the coverage on that, the media coverage and so forth. In terms of statistics or numbers, I think that's something that you have to get through Chief Justice Carbolito or the police department. The family violence cases are predominantly, are actually all of them are actually prosecuted in the local courts, and so that's why this particular program, this EQ, this emotional quotient, you don't really hear that very much, but you'll hear Dr. Nedley talk about that. How to manage your emotions, how to manage your anger, and we want. And the goal is to try to teach that early on to our children in the curriculum that's been developed. And it's a custom-made curriculum, Jason, and we're pretty excited about the launch of this program tomorrow. It starts tomorrow morning.
Your Honor, in all the years that you've been practicing law and up to the current moment and everything, has the scope of what is legally defined as family violence how has that broadened? And because I think what you're saying is one of the foundations of your leadership is you've always said being self-aware is very, very good. The world is constantly changing. We have to constantly keep ourselves abreast as practitioners of justice to make sure that we understand how people behave. So and with mental health being such a wide spectrum right now, has that had an effect on how we see family violence and and how certain cases can now be considered, against the law.
Well, I mean, we've been taught as judges, as for myself as former prosecutor, that family violence is a control issue. Really, somebody who wants to control another person, so he or she will fight somebody. They'll beat them up. They'll stab them. They'll kill them. Whatever the situation may be. And when you add the component of a mental illness to an anger issue, another illness, it could be, the person's narcissistic, sociopathic, and so forth. When you add all of those to a person's being and who they are, their character and everything, it just exacerbates a family violence situation. We've seen, at least I've seen it through my years. I mean, I've been a judge 27 years. That's a long time. And I was a prosecutor for 10 years and before that. And so I've seen a lot of family violence cases, and more often than not, Jason, the perpetrators emulate what they have experienced in their own lives when they were children, what they saw their mother do or not do when their father beat the hell out of her,
and so that is their only frame of reference, because that's their world. In many cases, would you agree that, like, especially when that impact is made on young children, they don't know it's wrong necessarily. They're just like, okay, well, mom and dad are fighting, but the degree to which they're fighting actually is against the law because they're taking it way too far.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, I remember, this is kind of shocking maybe for some people, but I remember when I was a prosecutor years ago, and I asked the young girl, the young victim, I said, so, you were being sexually abused for 2 years. Why didn't you tell anybody? Why didn't you tell the nurse? I mean, part of the thing is, part of the curriculum, I'm certain, with this EQ approach that we're going to take starting tomorrow, is to know what's accessible to the children. Like, can you tell your counselor? Can you tell your nurse at the school? Can you tell your teacher? Or how do you do it? And this little girl said to me, I didn't tell anybody that my mom's boyfriend was sexually abusing me because I thought it was normal. She really did. Yeah. And I go, oh, she, and I just, I look back and I said, well, why did you think? She goes, because my mother didn't say anything. She wasn't like, nobody ever told me that it was wrong. It was something pleasurable that she thought, oh, feels good and must be okay. And my mom's not getting mad and her boyfriend's coming into my room, and you know what I'm saying? So to me, that's just so unbelievable, but it happens, So I think when you're a child, you're so vulnerable, you're so susceptible to believing whatever your environment is,
And your parents are everything to you, and the way they be. I mean, there's basically like, there's God, and then there's, your parents, as far as, what and, who's authoritative in your life. Yeah, and I guess that speaks to the value of this curriculum being, localized, and kids can relate to that. As I said, I know in our culture, I'm not supposed to speak out of turn. I'm not supposed to, do anything that would, disgrace my family or anything like that. And those, it's a little bit more sensitive out here, and like you said, than it might be to our friends in the mainland.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same. I mean, I think it's the same everywhere, nationally and internationally. But I do think that as I think about it, I mean, that's assuming that you have a normal, normal family. Assuming you have a family that has a relationship with God. Assuming that you have a family that's stable. It's not a fractured family or a blended family. I mean, the Guam that I grew up in is far different from the Guam today. Mm-hmm. Seriously. I mean, how many of I don't remember.
For better or worse?
Well, it's broken. It's fractured. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jason, how many, when you think about it, I don't know if you can, I'm sure you can, but when you were growing up, how many of your friends' parents were divorced or separated?
Hardly any. I mean, there were a few, but now, I mean, what's the statistic they always throw around? Like 1 out of every 2 marriages end in divorce, which is astonishing.
Astonishing. And so that's what I mean. I mean, I think there's just a different, it's just a different way of life. I mean, it's a different Guam. I mean, the thing about Guam that's so special is we hold on to our culture, we hold on to our love of family, our closeness. I mean, that is very critical. Anyway, I know that I'm pretty confident that Dr. Nedley, and hopefully you'll get a chance to interview him, Jason.
Oh, we would love to.
He will bring in the faith component as well. I mean, I think I don't know if you've seen that study. I read this, that they say that children who don't have a faith generally are more depressed than those that do through their lifetime.
There's another way, Judge, that the world, and particularly Guam, has changed too. Is, I mean, when I was a kid, everybody I knew, went to some sort of church, and I don't recall a time in the 47 years that I've been alive now where there are more people and more families that don't subscribe to a particular religion. I mean, it was unheard of before. It's like everybody just went to some church.
Right, and you don't. And the interesting thing is too, Jason, is the number of churches have escalated. There's just so many more now than there were when we were growing up. Like, all I knew was the Catholic Church, or maybe some other church, one or two others. But that was it. That was the sum of my world right there. Now it's different, and I'm not saying that's bad. I think whatever your faith is fine. But Guam has had a proliferation of different types of churches and types of faiths and so forth, and that's a good thing for many who don't believe in a certain faith but believe in others.
Absolutely.
But anyway, we're excited, Jason. Thank you for inviting us in.
Certainly, you're always welcome here, Your Honor.
Well, thank you. And just wanted to do a acknowledgement as well, put out an acknowledgement, is that Churchill Edwards, the former director of education in Pohnpei, and Carmen Ujoa Castrobar, a former KUAM reporter, and now a teacher. She's been a teacher. She has her master's degree and so forth. She's down
at Guam Adventist Academy, right?
Yeah, well, she was there. She was teaching there. But she's very much involved in the Micronesian Women's Ministry, and she's very much involved in a lot of the issues, including family violence issues. So the good thing about her is that she and Churchill Edwards in particular, those two have worked closely with Chief Justice Cyprian Mamois from YAP and myself and the Nedley team in developing this customized curriculum. And so I just want to make sure I acknowledge them, because they've done a lot of the hard work that is going to culminate in tomorrow's presentation.
Absolutely, and certainly, it undeniably, it's taken a whole bunch of people, and it's going to take a whole lot more to actually, get this thing off the ground. But the dividends that will be paid for this for our island community and throughout the region certainly are substantial. So, thank you, and for this, I'd love to catch up with you again and see, how this project's going through the various phases, all the way to implementation.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason. And just as an FYI, so if this is successful, which I'm pretty confident, we're in it to win it, believe me. And when this conference is this phase 1, 2, and 3, once that becomes successful, then our goal at the Pacific Judicial Council is to hand it off to the directors of education and mental health, to those professionals, let them take over. But we felt as leaders, judicial leaders with the Pacific Judicial Council, that we wanted to take the lead in starting the program. So.
Well, Lord knows GDOE and the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, I know they've got a lot on their plate already, but certainly this is something that they've even expressed to us, like, they'll make time for this, because this is very, very worthwhile and very necessary. So, Your Honor, thank you so much.
Okay, take care, Jason. Thank you for the invitation.
And happy holidays to you and your family as well.
Oh, thank you. Your family too. And I see Tomas Mongo. Yeah, hey, hi, Tomas.
And Tomas is here.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning. Nice to see you.
Hi, Your Honor.
Nice to see you.
Good morning, Chief.
He's got that wonderful. Speaking of regional, Your Honor, Tomas has that wonderful. Tomas, that's from Capitol Hill.
No, this is Rhoda, Jason.
Oh, that's Rhoda. Okay. I need to brush up on my regional geography.
Sorry, Tomas.
Are you in Rhoda right now?
No, I'm not. Which is I'm on Saipan right now.
I thought you were. I saw that you were reporting from Saipan. All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Take care, Jason.
All right. Happy holidays. Good to see you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye. Yeah, call him our resident boy who jumped a loot.